It's Wednesday. That means it's Joe Steckler Day, helping seniors of Brevard. Joe is recovering from his knee surgery a couple of weeks ago, but you've got myself, John Harper, Kerry Fink is here, and we have one of our very special guests with us, Kerry.
Yes, and good afternoon, John Harper. And on behalf of Joe Steckler, our president and founder, Kim Bernard, our education specialist, and everybody in the Helping Seniors team, we're going to have a good conversation today because our guest is none other than Barbara McIntyre.
I noticed, Kerry, Barbara always likes to kind of dance in her chair before the music, while the music is airing. And I was thinking, Barbara, back in your day, it wasn't exactly that type of music you were dancing to on Cocoa Beach. It was totally different, right?
It was totally different, but I still love that old-time music. I could get up and dance around the room.
Yeah.
You know, it's a funny thing as we talk about the music aspect of this, but for years, they call that music the standards.
Oh,
and
yes.
We always used to make the argument back in the day that the standards will always live, just like it's basically classical music of our lifetime.
That's
what
right.
What
That's
it
right.
amounts to. And you get Glenn Miller Orchestra and String of Pearls. Everybody who comes in the studio, whenever that pops on, everybody starts bouncing around in their seats.
Absolutely. Oh, boy.
This is the music Barbara was dancing to.
Spirit in the Sky, Norman Greenbaum.
I can do that, too. Oh, boy.
You know, it's interesting that NASA adapted that song, and that's now like a theme song for a lot of the astronauts whenever they do Astronaut Hall of Fame induction. But as we skate away from Helping Seniors...
That's right. We could take this conversation anywhere.
Well, as long as we're having fun with it,
Right.
it's a good thing. But I guess John and Barbara, one of the places that I wanted to begin was, again, to thank everybody who helped make the Helping Seniors car raffle quite the success. I think Joe and Marty in our business office are still literally tallying everything up, but Joe did say that it was the most successful Helping Seniors car raffle to date. And I was commenting that I thought that was an amazing feat considering, if you guys remember, we spent all these weeks leading up to it talking about the grand drawing being at the American Muscle Car Museum, and then spending the last week saying, but whatever you do, please don't come out because it's not open.
That's right.
And we were really, really quite fortunate that everybody got the word to not come out and yet still bought their tickets. So the good news is that Joe and Mark Pylock, the owner of the American Muscle Car Museum, who has been so kind, he's hosted us every year that the American Muscle Car Museum has been open. As you know, that was our fourth Helping Seniors car raffle. The first year he wasn't open. He was, I think, under construction. But every year since, we've been at the American Muscle Car Museum, including the Saturday, October 10th when we were there. And Troy Darling, who lives in Indialantic, Florida, he was the lucky winner. And I don't know, if you guys didn't get to see the drawing, Mark's wife, Tatiana, reached in, pulled out the winning ticket. Mark read it out on the air, and then everybody tried to call the winner, and they could not reach him. And so what ended up happening was, like, literally as everybody was packing up and the broadcast on Facebook was over, Ashley Caswell from Hibiscus Court said, now I want to try one more time, see if I can reach him. And they got him. Oh. And he says, I'm 20 minutes away. I'll be right down. So he came roaring down.
How exciting.
He said, my wife and I, we own an ice cream truck. We were literally out in the neighborhood. So Joe's first question, of course, was, did they have rum raisin ice cream? Because if you know Joe, that would be the thing. But actually,
did they come in the truck?
No. We were hoping that we would get a treat out of this, but no, they came in their car. And so on Monday, literally on the Monday following, there's a picture. It's actually out on the Helping Seniors Facebook page, but they chose that beautiful, John, you remember standing in front of it, because when we were out there doing that broadcast from Boniface Hire Chevrolet, they literally took that beautiful Chevrolet Camaro. It was like a convertible Camaro, no less.
It was a beautiful car, and I really was checking that out closely. And between that guys and the Dodge, it was kind of a toss-up between the two.
You know, and if you think about it, right, last year in 2019, our winner chose the Dodge Challenger. And this year, the winner chose the Chevrolet Camaro. So I'm thinking ahead because Joe is already busy putting together everything for the 2021 car raffle. And clearly, the Chevrolet and the Dodge are going to be in the mix again. So I'm thinking we invite each one of them with their cars out, and they can be part of the Dodge versus Chevy Challenge.
Absolutely.
That really wouldn't be a bad idea.
It would be amazing.
Past winners, yeah.
So Mark Pylock has generously already allowed that he will be happy to welcome us back for year number 5 with the Helping Seniors Car Raffle.
Great.
So it looks like the plan will be October of 2021 will be the grand drawing. And if you remember too, John, we have been talking for weeks that Mark has generously said, no, listen, I'm going to open up the museum for everybody that has a Helping Seniors car raffle ticket because I do want them to experience the museum as part of the current drawing. So we're thinking, we're not sure because it's all up to COVID, but we're thinking it might be February. So we're sort of saying that might be the right time to have the kickoff, and then we have the nice fall party, and hopefully COVID will be no longer a problem by the time we get down
that
there.
really would be a good idea. You're right. Kick it off in February and have the big drawing in October of 2021. And make it a great several months of having the cars go around to various locations and to have people see them, touch them, feel them, and that would be great.
Yeah.
That was part of the fun that we all missed this year,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it was nice to be in the museum, and I'm really grateful that Mark said, you guys can come out, and AJ said, no, you guys can come out and film at my dealerships. I want this to work for you guys. And it did, but we all missed being out at the car shows and and think about it, the senior expos. We would always have cars out for different events like that, and it was just fun because you got to meet a lot of nice people. And
you were ready. I mean, you had your calendar of events for it to take place at, and it unfortunately never happened. But it's amazing, as you started to say, Kerry, not to distract or stray off course from our topic here with Barbara, but it's amazing, all things considered, how this was a record-breaking year considering the obstacles that the car raffle was up against.
Yeah, it really is. It's a godsend from the standpoint that I remember we were all sitting around 6 weeks ahead because the trajectory for the car raffle had been very good. We were already ahead when everything kind of shot down for COVID. And then, of course, the bulk of the ticket sales happened anyway in the last 6 weeks, and we were all sitting around saying, wow, we can't go to car shows. What do we do? And so, fortunately, it all worked out. And really, again, if you bought a car ticket, if you're a sponsor that helped us in this in any way, just a very sincere thank you on behalf of Joe and the entire crew, because without your help, we can't go. I mean, it's the whole thing. This is the 10th year of the Senior Information Helpline. And like Joe says, I mean, everybody donates a lot, but there are certain things you still have to pay for. And it's important that we do that. So kind of with that, we're going to come back basically in the second half of the show. And we're going to talk about the next thing that's on deck, which is the Helping Seniors Foundation Cruise. But we want to get into the meat and potatoes of today. I really wanted to ask Barb, because she is like our go-to resource when somebody uses the term reverse mortgage, or how do we get extra money in a situation where money is needed to make a difference. And oftentimes having equity in your home can be the way to do it, and you need to do it the right way. In fact, I wanted to actually use kind of as a backdrop for this, Barb, the article that you had in the October Senior Scene magazine. We always publish the Helping Seniors newsletter in the center section of Senior Scene magazine, and you had really a good full-page article and a very enticing title, Want to Stop Making Your Monthly Mortgage Payments.
Right.
And I thought, well, that will get somebody's attention.
Well, that's true. And right now, especially, having to make a mortgage payment, and some people have stopped being able to earn. I mean, a lot of people are early in retirement, or even as a pretty moving into their senior lifetime. They're still getting income from a variety of things they do. And so losing income and still having a mortgage payment can really be a problem. So just getting rid of a mortgage payment by having the reverse mortgage step in and take its place, pay off the existing mortgage, helps the client have more money in their budget. So it can make a really big difference. There's so many reasons why people do a reverse mortgage, but paying off debt is one of the big ones. Could be credit card, could be mortgage, just any kind of debt obligation that the money is leaving your checkbook and you're having to live on what's left. With a reverse mortgage, you can actually get rid of the debts that are causing you to have to make monthly payments. And guess what? Now you have more in your checkbook. So it's a big resource.
Yeah, for most people, I guess the mortgage payment is probably normally like your single largest bill. And I think that you listed 5 reasons to consider a reverse mortgage if you currently have an existing traditional mortgage payment. And the first thing that you said is, look, that might be a way to stop these monthly mortgage payments, and instead you're able to add to your savings.
That's right. And another reason is a lot of times people are taking monies out of retirement accounts and they're using that as income. And, with a market that's volatile, going up and down pretty regularly, if you can use a reverse mortgage to draw some funds, you can stay clear of using your retirement assets and let them stay while the market stabilizes, as well as sometimes when you're pulling, well, not sometimes, all the time, when you pull money out of retirement accounts, you usually have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah. And I was going to say, and on top of that, that's exactly what I was going to say. You say when you take the money out on the reverse mortgage, that's tax-free money, right?
Well, that's right, because it's a loan proceed, so you don't have to pay any type of income tax. And drawing on invested money oftentimes leads to a tax liability. So that's another reason why the reverse mortgage is starting to be a really well thought of resource to add to a long-term financial plan, so that you can actually structure where you take your money from so that you have the opportunity to, manage your tax liability. So,
Barbara, if we could walk us through the process of the reverse mortgage. Let's say, to make the math easy for someone like myself, I've got a house that's worth $100,000. Now, I think it's worth $100,000. Is an appraisal done on the house before the reverse mortgage goes into effect, or how does that work?
Yes, that's an appraisal is done by an FHA appraiser, because the mortgage is an FHA mortgage, and that's part of the process of obtaining the reverse mortgage. So the actual process is basically information first, which is where I do some investigation. I'll come up with my best idea based on appraisal-based websites and realtors' information to give you an idea and see if you agree about what we think the house is worth. Then the next thing is to use your age, because it's driven very much by the age of the youngest borrower and the current interest rates. And from that, we figure out what could you possibly benefit, what could you actually take from a reverse mortgage. If that's, and as you learn more, if you want to go forward, then yes, an official appraisal is done by a certified appraiser. Now we know exactly what the number of the value of the house we have to work with, and we look at all those same numbers again. We look and make sure the benefit is still what you would expect or like it to be. The thing that's the nicest, I think, I enjoy the most about reverse mortgage is that any time throughout the entire process of someone from investigating to signing application to getting values to even signing closing documents, they still can cancel and not go forward and close this loan.
Up to the 12th hour.
Up to beyond that. They have 3 days after they close the final papers to say, you know what, change my mind. And it's absolutely acceptable to do that. So there's, from the time you start the process learning about the mortgage, you also participate in a counseling session, and it's not marriage counseling. It is counseling to make sure that the loan originator, someone like myself, has done an excellent job in educating you all about the product. That counseling confirms your understanding, answers even more questions you might have, and then they issue a certificate. That certificate allows a borrower to go to any lender they choose and start the process. For a lot of lenders, including my company, the cost of that counseling is the only out-of-pocket expense.
Wow.
Everything else is rolled into the loan. So usually it's around $125 to have that opportunity to talk to that counselor. And then from then on, the costs are typically in the loan.
You mentioned, Barbara, the age of the homeowner is also a consideration. How does that work, and what is the cause and effect of that?
The younger the borrower, the lower the loan to value. The less money you receive, the younger you are. The logic of that is that because reverse mortgages do not require a principal and interest payment made at any time through the course of the loan until the last borrower leaves the property, the debt itself is going to be getting larger over time. If you don't ever make a payment on a loan, the loan is growing, interest is accruing. In this mortgage, the details of the mortgage are that at the end of the loan, the house is the only thing responsible for really repaying the debt. Because we want to make sure that the home will retain enough value to pay back the debt well into the future, then an 80-year-old borrower will be able to borrow more money than a 62-year-old borrower, because the presumption is the 62-year-old borrower has a whole lot more life left. The loan will grow larger over many more years. So the magic age is 62 for the FHA-insured product. That's the youngest you can be. And there's conventional reverse mortgages now, and those actually allow for borrowers to be 60 years old.
That first number, that age, was that 52, 52?
62.
62, okay.
Right.
All right.
So 62 is really what the FHA-insured HECM requires the youngest borrower to be. And that's why. So a 62-year-old may only be able to tap into maybe 50% of the value of the home, whereas an 80-year-old may be able to tap in 69, 68%. Keep in mind, it's not a conventional regular loan, so no one borrows 80% of the value of their home because they aren't required to make a payment. What's very interesting nowadays is that because borrowers can make payments on a reverse mortgage, which a lot of people don't realize, what we're seeing now is as borrowers make payments on their mortgage, for example, a 62-year-old may still be working. Why not go ahead and make payments? He can actually create a line of credit because every penny he pays back on the mortgage now is available in a line of credit that he can draw anytime in the future. He can pay it back, draw it back out, pay it back, and the line of credit, unique only to a reverse mortgage, increases, giving that borrower more borrowing power from their own equity over the years. So it's growing, and it's giving them more access. And it grows at the same rate as the loan is growing. Does that make sense? It's a little bit confusing.
You know, that's what I was going to ask you. Is it reminded me, I've heard you and Joe talk about this before, that one of the reasons to get started setting the reverse mortgage in place early, even if you don't necessarily anticipate that you might need to draw on it for many years, is the fact that it does have this feature that I guess your borrowing capacity will increase over time.
Absolutely. And that's we see it more and more. Like I said, financial advisors are really realizing that given how many people are entering into retirement, how many people, particularly baby boomers, have been underprepared due to the cycles of the market, have taken away monies that they thought they would have in retirement, how the house plays a huge part in establishing long-term sustainability of their wealth. And so you're right, Kerry, putting that line of credit in place and just leaving it alone and letting it increase so that 15, 20 years later, if they want, they can convert it to an income stream. they can add it to a continuing monthly payment that's guaranteed as long as they're in the home.
Barbara, what about, and that's really fascinating. We want to spend some more time on that, but what about the yearly taxes? Who's responsible for that?
The only real obligation borrowers have is they have to pay their homeowners insurance and their property taxes on their property. They have to pay their homeowners association fees. They have to maintain their property, keep it in good repair, and they have to live in it as their primary residence. As long as they continue to do those things, then they can live in that house indefinitely. The only other thing that causes the loan to be due and payable is when the last borrower on title no longer lives there. Now, defaulting on taxes and insurance is a really big problem because, as I said before, the home is truly the only asset that is held responsible for repayment. So if a borrower defaults on their taxes over some period of time, they'll sell the house on the courthouse steps. If the borrower fails to carry homeowners insurance, and God forbid there's a fire, the house is gone. So the lender, if any of those things occur, and it's not remedied by the borrower, and the lender works with the borrower to help them do that. But if it's not done, lender will foreclose. So when sometimes people hear horror stories, oh, this woman, this happened, they foreclosed, and it's, oh, such a nightmare. But when you really dig into what happened, that's something in that arena happened.
They didn't keep up the insurance or
they defaulted.
The property taxes or the HOA fees.
The HOA is not something that we would ever foreclose on. HOAs put liens on properties when you don't pay those, but it would not create a foreclosure situation. But those nightmare stories where, we didn't know what mom did, and then she defaulted and the kids didn't know, and, and it's always really looks bad for the lender. But the reality is, if you don't pay your taxes on your home today, you're going to lose your home. Doesn't matter if you have a reverse mortgage or no mortgage.
Right.
If you don't have insurance and it burns to the ground, you're going to lose your home. So it's really not just the fault of a reverse mortgage, but it sounds pretty darn bad.
It would happen, as you point out, with any kind of borrowing that's secured by the real estate. So that just sort of makes logical sense. And I wanted to ask you, as we're on that subject, because I think you're right. That's one of the reasons why maybe they get that question mark about what, is a reverse mortgage dangerous from that perspective. But I do think, as you pointed out, as you dig into it, it's pretty clear as long as you understand sort of the rules of the road.
Exactly.
So I guess, John, we're about ready for our mid-show break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more reverse mortgage, but we're also going to talk about the Helping Seniors Foundation cruise and a whole lot more.
All right, we look forward to that, Kerry, as we continue on the Wednesday edition of Helping Seniors of Brevard, right here on 90.3 FM. Helping Seniors of Brevard, heard every Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 o'clock. 90.3 FM, the familiar sounds there of the Glenn Miller Orchestra, In the Mood, gets us back into the second half of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Joe Steckler off today. I'm John Harper, along with Kerry Fink. Kerry?
Hey, John, thanks again. Yeah, it's a good day on all fronts. And the thing that we talked about, we wanted to come back after the mid-show break and talk a little bit about, is another opportunity. It's a fundraising opportunity, but it's a fun opportunity. And it's a thing that Joe Steckler, our president and founder, has had in mind since almost the get-go when he established Helping Seniors literally 10 years ago. He had this idea. I guess there was a radio personality in the area who used to have a travel club. And, John and Barbara McIntyre, who is our guest today. Welcome back, Barbara, from Reverse Mortgage. We're going to talk more reverse mortgage, but we're going to talk about the cruise for a second. But Joe has always had this idea of there's several things that go on. When we do needs surveys among seniors in Brevard County, some of the top-ranked items that you find will be things that you would expect: housing, transportation, medical, legal, things like that. That's clear. But one of the things that was very surprising to me is, and especially when you think about what we've been through in the COVID world this year, right, is they're looking for socialization. They're looking for a way to meet and interact with people. And that's only been made worse by the fact that they told us to stay home with our masks on. So what was already difficult became even more difficult. And for those of you that have been following along when we do the Helping Seniors updates, we've talked to a lot of home health agencies. Tracy Graff with Avid Home Health Care is a good example where she said, Kerry, we're doing good about taking care of seniors, on the safety level for medical. But she said, I'm more and more concerned about what happens for the mental part of it. Just you're stuck at home, you're home alone, your family can't come visit you. And so we really have to look at those things. So for a lot of different reasons, years ago, Joe had said, what if we had a Helping Seniors Travel Club where people from Brevard County could get together and go travel? And he said maybe that would be a great way to tackle this socialization, because people oftentimes think, well, maybe my traveling days are through. I can't move around the way I used to. But we were very fortunate that we were able to partner with a gentleman by the name of Chris Morse, who has been in the travel industry since 1982. So he now says, I started out helping seniors travel. Now I am a senior who helps seniors travel. And because of that, he and his partner, Barbara, they're both special needs certified. So they have been able to make travel work for people who can't otherwise travel. And so that's one of the great things, is helping people find that happiness. Maybe they want to take some grandkids on a travel and they're not sure if they can manage it. And that's what these guys do. They're experts. And the beautiful thing is that they've negotiated with travel companies to the degree that people can travel and book travel through the Helping Seniors Travel Club. There's no call. It's not a membership thing. It's just literally give us a call at our senior information helpline. Kim will get you over to them. Our senior information helpline is 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770. And that will get you connected. Just say, hey, I need the contact information for the travel club. And as Chris has challenged, he said, you see something on the internet, just give me a call. I can match it. And there's be two things. I can give you some behind the scenes information that maybe you want to consider about the travel. But also, if anything goes wrong in your travel, you have me to call. So you're not calling 1-800 stay on hold for 24 hours. You're calling you're calling a real person saying, here's what my situation is. How does this change? So that's Chris Morris with the Helping Seniors Travel Club. Now, back to February 21st, 2021. February 21st, 2021. That is the day that we go cruising. Because the other thing Joe has always talked about was creating the Helping Seniors Foundation. So when Joe led he set up, actually they call them Joe's Clubs to this day, but when he was in charge of the Alzheimer's and helping get all that build up the foundation, he actually created an endowment. And that has always been in his mind so that we would be able to serve seniors in Brevard County for generations and generations to come. So how do you do that? You set up a foundation and an endowment that people contribute into that provides, so then the organization doesn't actually touch the endowment. They're just spending whatever the earnings are from that endowment, and that is serving seniors basically in perpetuity. So this cruise on February 21st, 2021, right here out of Port Canaveral, so you don't have to get on an airplane or drive down to Miami or Fort Lauderdale. You can just get somebody to drop you off at the port there at Port Canaveral. You'll be on this luxurious, beautiful ship called the MSC Seaside. It is just a gorgeous, top-of-the-line ship. MSC, by the way, was one of the first cruise lines that went back to sailing. They've been sailing now something like 6 or 8 weeks in the Mediterranean, and they are doing it 100% safe. And as Chris has told us, it's cleaner than your home. They put in every restriction. So the point is that the money that MSC is going to contribute back into helping seniors, and actually a portion of when you book your cruise, which is a great value anyway, is also going to come back in to that initial endowment, getting the ball rolling with the Helping Seniors Endowment Fund. So that's kind of the overall background. Now, with that, John And Barb, let's talk a little bit about cruising. Have you guys? Nobody's been cruising this year, but I know you guys both know about cruises, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's wonderful because I definitely agree that seniors really do miss that social connection. And when you've got someone making sure that the cruising, everything about it is safe and safe for health reasons, I think that, they'll be back to cruising and really enjoying it.
I've done a lot, Kerry, over the years, and looking forward to getting back to it. I think there's no better way to go than to cruise.
Oh, there's no question about it. And when you think about it, none of us, I don't think any of us have really been able to take a correct vacation in this year. Travel's been restricted. They've asked us to do things safely and stay at home and all those things. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely ready for the ability to get out and about and to do it safely and to know it's going to be in a safe environment. But not only that, when you go on a cruise, John, and you know this, if you've done a bunch of cruises, you meet people on the cruise, you form lifelong friendships, and then they get on the airplane and they fly back to Michigan or wherever they come from, and you're sharing posts on Facebook, but you don't get to see them that often.
Right.
But here, if you're going cruising with people from Brevard, you can go to lunch with them next week.
That's right. You're making local friends. I think it's a great idea.
It really is, and the way Chris is going to get this set up, it's going to be a great opportunity for people here in Brevard County, the Space Coast, and within the sound of our voices to be able to cruise in a safe, comfortable setting and know that they're being taken care of. And Chris is going to make sure that everything is administered to, and there will be no problems.
Yeah, and Chris and his partner Betty, they will be on the sailing, so you're going to have not only will you have all the support of the ship, but you'll have them as the experts, the liaisons. And then there's fun, because one of the things that's going to happen with this cruise, in addition to just sailing and having great people connected to helping seniors on board, but you're also going to have, we're bringing some entertainment on board exclusive to the Helping Seniors group. We all love to bounce around to the Glenn Miller tune that Joe uses for the opener for the show. And this lady that's going to be sailing with us, she actually toured the world with the Glenn Miller Orchestra as their featured singer. In fact, her mother goes back years touring with the Glenn Miller Orchestra, and actually sang with Frank Sinatra and a lot of other very famous people as well. And her dad was Al Hamm, the gentleman who was top producer at Columbia Records, really got Johnny Mathis's career started, got Tony Bennett, made him a superstar, all this back in the heyday of Columbia Records.
Was he the music of your life?
He is the Al Hamm of the music of your life, but he started out as Mitch Miller's. They called him an A&R guy, which meant artist and repertoire for Columbia Records. And so he was Mitch Miller's right-hand man, got involved in all these careers. He produced the West Side Story soundtrack, My Fair Lady soundtrack, all these classic things, and it went on to become a prolific jingle producer, like a good neighbor, State Farm. That was an Al Hamm.
Really?
So she came up in a musical family, attended the Juilliard School of Music in New York City, toured the world with Glenn Miller Orchestra, was asked by Les Brown and the Band of Renown to tour with Les Brown and also host the show in Branson, Missouri for a number of years. She also sang with Buddy Morrow and the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. She has all these chops as a big band singer. And then on top of that, years ago, Al Hamm had a hit. Everybody calls it the Coca-Cola song, but he put together a group called the Hillside Singers, and his wife and his daughter, who we're going to talk about, Lori Hafer is her name, and the Marino brothers and the Shaw brothers, they made up a group called the Hillside Singers, and they had the worldwide hit, I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing.
Oh, my goodness.
So Lori Hafer and her husband, who is a great jazz pianist, you occasionally will see them on the card over at Heidi's Jazz Club in Cocoa. They're going to come over, join us on the cruise.
Wow.
They're going to provide entertainment for us, and Lori is just a tremendous singer. Everybody who meets these guys falls in love with them. So that's a whole special thing that goes on with this. And then the thing that I really want to point out, and then we'll button this up and move on to where we want to talk about reverse mortgages. But listen, you go on the internet and you see a price, and it looks like a really great price for the cruise. It might say, you can go sailing for, let's just say $399 for a week. And you say, wow, that's great, and then you click and say, I'm going to buy that cruise. And then they say, but you got to pay your government taxes and fees. And then you click another button and you got to pay your, you need to have insurance in case something comes up and you can't make it. So then you click another button, and then they ask you, do you want to prepay your gratuities? Because, on a cruise ship, that's like anywhere from $12 to $14 a day, and they would otherwise just pop it on your credit card on the ship. So by the time you end up pricing this all out, you get a price that you're not sure what you've paid. The beautiful thing about the way Chris and Betty have approached this is they said, we're just going to give you the price, and we're going to include everything in there. In fact, if you book by November 20th, we're also going to give you a $50 cabin credit so that you can buy things on the ship, and we'll also make sure you have free Wi-Fi on the ship for your voyage so that you can stay connected with friends and family, or better yet, bring them with you on the ship. But unbelievable. So the price starts at $799 for an inside cabin, but that's it. That's unless you want to buy alcohol on board or things like that. That's the price. That's all that's going to come out of your pocket.
$799 for port charges,
everything,
your gratuities.
Everything.
You really can't beat that.
No, you can't.
Everything. And listen to this: the way that they've been able to flatten this down. To me, this is really the exciting part. So when you usually they have like a lead-in price, and it's really attractive, and that's a good price for an inside cabin. If you say, "Listen, I'm really going to spend my time on deck," then that could be fine. But some people say, "No, I want to have either a porthole or a window, or better yet, I like to travel with a balcony." Well, listen to this. For $999, you have a balcony cabin. So he's been able to make that really, really cost effective. And again, that includes everything. So space is limited, and some of those specials, like the internet and the in-cabin credit, they do go away. I think he told me it was November 20th. But call Kim at 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770. She'll get you connected, or you can go to helpingseniorstravelclub.com, helpingseniorstravelclub.com. I think we're going to have a lot of fun out at sea in February.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like it.
So
it's going to be a good way to go. Before we get back to Barbara, you were mentioning Al Ham. He wrote the jingle for State Farm?
Yes, and he also did You Deserve a Break Today, so get up and get on your way.
For McDonald's.
That's right. So he had a huge, after his record producing days, he had a huge jingle success story. He did, they used to call them news bumpers, but like when you have the 6 p.m. news and then there's music that they play, we'll be right back with more news, those kind of things. He actually had a huge company that did all of that as well. And of course, he's probably to us in radio, he's most well known because in 1978, he started The Music of Your Life as a radio network back in the days, because he said he saw all these millions and millions of copies of these songs that would be sold. Chances are Johnny Mathis or Tony Bennett, I Left My Heart in San Francisco. And these records were not being played on the radio. He said, I can't be the only one that misses hearing good music on the radio. And so, John, as you know, back in those days, there was no satellite and all that. It was reel-to-reel tapes, but he had pristine copies because he could access masters, and that was how he started The Music of Your Life, was to get that music back out into the community.
That was a huge format back in the 70s and 80s. In some markets, major markets, became number one.
Yeah, and we had the privilege of being associated corporately for a number of years with it, and there used to be stations right here in the Brevard County area that were part of the Music of Your Life network. And so it's funny. Our daughter, who is 22, but she kind of grew up with this music on cruise ships and things like that, and she still calls it the real music.
Yeah, right. You could just set these folks down as part of the entertainment and just let the whole room ask them questions.
Yeah, it is.
They never even sang a note.
The stories that they tell, and they're great stories about working with some amazing people. I mean, Lori Hafer says her first singing debut. Do you guys remember Guy Mitchell?
Of course.
Okay, so her first, that was another Al Ham produced thing, and she was like 3 years old, and they would have there would be Burt Bacharach coming over to the house for dinner. It's amazing.
Yeah, the stories that she could share.
But her first recording was on a Guy Mitchell record that became a hit, no less. So.
Wow, so interesting.
You've got me singing the blues.
That's it. So Lori Hafer and Mike Hafer, her excellent husband, just an amazing. We call him Dr. Mike on the keyboards because he is he's a master at jazz keyboards, and they will be so entertaining, like you said, not only musically but just fun people to be on the cruise with.
You, of course, when the music of your life, you're getting older when the music of your life is about your life.
That's true.
So
it's good.
That's always been an interesting guideline for that. It reminds me, somebody I heard once, I was in a locker room and somebody said, well, how are you? And the guy said, well, I'm all right, considering I was in an accident. And the other person he was talking to said, well, did the person who hit you, did he survive? And the guy said, well, I guess so. He's suing me. So, but that was the same time I heard someone say the music of your life is of your life when you're getting older.
That's it. Well, we always appreciated our years with that, and it was a great time. So I'm really excited that we're getting a chance to do this again. And like I said to Joe, I really believe this will work and be a good thing in our area. Mm-hmm. We start off small, but if we get a good group of people on board the first ship, what ends up happening is everybody says, that was so good, when's the next one? Right. And everybody starts building their calendar around that next travel. So that's what we're after.
One cruise always starts to beget another cruise.
That's right.
And especially if people haven't cruised before, when they realize what a magnificent way to travel, whether it be a weekend cruise, a 7-day cruise, 2 weeks, or whatever, it's just the way to go. And you're treated like royalty. The food is exceptional. You can't turn around without someone from the staff asking if you need assistance for something. And it's just great. The entertainment on board is second to none, and I strongly recommend it. So this is going to be great coming up in February when this gets kicked off, and looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so call Chris today. Again, you can call us at 321-473-7770. Kim will get you pointed over there, or you can just visit helpingseniorstravelclub.com. But definitely we want to meet you out at sea. I always tell people, if you haven't been on a cruise, you will become a frequent cruiser afterwards, because it's like being in a fine hotel with the best meals and the best entertainment, and every day your hotel wakes up in a cool, interesting new place. How great is that?
Yeah.
So this might be a good point to say, well, if you need that reverse mortgage,
I do have to say that there have been occasions when I have closed a loan for a couple, and they had enough money to make ends meet, but they just had no extra, and they wanted to be able to take a vacation. They're retired. They deserve to. They had the house paid for, but they just didn't have enough cash. So you know what? Doing a reverse mortgage and then taking a cruise is not a bad idea.
Yeah, we used to laugh in the music of your life world. There was a bumper sticker that said, "I'm spending my kids' inheritance."
Exactly.
But really, the truth of the matter is that you do want to make sure that you're using you've worked hard for all these years to put together a plan. And like we were talking about during the break, people will oftentimes unintentionally make a mistake because they'll pull money out of that 401k saying, well, I got to have this. Or you talked about a situation, I know we don't have a whole lot of time to talk about this, but you talked about a situation where somebody says, I want to hold off on taking my Social Security until I get to full retirement age because I don't want to take that penalty for the rest of my life because I jumped the gun, or maybe because I need to work a few more years anyway, and I would rather do that than have my benefits get reduced by taxable income.
Right. So I've seen folks start a reverse mortgage at 62 and start to draw a regular monthly income, hold off on the Social Security, And then when they got to the age they wanted to go ahead and turn the Social Security on, they stopped drawing on the HECM, on the reverse. Because this mortgage is designed to be so flexible to work within any retiree's plan, you can turn it on, turn it off, you can pay it back, create the line of credit, you can draw it out. And just for the record, I do not recommend you draw the money out and go to Las Vegas. It was a joke about the cruise. I really do believe you have to be smart and strategic on how you use the funds in a reverse mortgage. But I definitely do believe that every person needs to be able to have a little extra money to do something nice for themselves too.
Well, and what you also mentioned, and this always comes back to me as you talk about a reverse mortgage, but it really is like any other financial instrument. You might take a line of credit on your home, but then the bank says you got to make this much payment every month.
Right.
And this is really a way to do that where you're in control. You can say, I do want to pay this back, or no, you know what? I don't need to pay this back. And or next month I'll have more money because I have such and such coming in. I might double up a payment or whatever. But that it becomes on your timetable, not the bank's timetable.
And that's exactly what you hear often from people who have established a reverse mortgage. It really does give them the control. Even when people take out a home equity line of credit from a bank, back when property values declined, banks said to the person who had the home equity line of credit, sorry, but you can't borrow on this anymore. We know values and properties have reduced, so we're cutting you off. We're not going to let you borrow it anymore. And all of those home equity lines of credit have a date positive that you're stopped from borrowing against it.
Wow.
And eventually, 10 years out, have a date that they recalculated and you have to make a principal and interest payment.
Wow.
So that's kind of in the fine print. So with a reverse mortgage line of credit, there's nothing in the fine print. The line of credit is going to grow at the same rate as the note rate and 0.5%. It can't be reduced, canceled, or called due ever. It's not tied to appreciation of the home. So if home values decline at any time, it's not going to affect the growth of the line of credit. That line is still going to be available. There's just so many benefits to this product, and that's why I've spent the last 16 years in Brevard County making myself available to talk to anyone and everyone who has an interest in knowing more about this product, because it's a really valuable tool.
And when you think, and that's the other thing that I get when we talk about this, is that really, as you're looking at your overall plan, this really becomes a tool that puts you in a driver's seat. It doesn't sound like it costs you, first of all, it costs you absolutely nothing to investigate and at least get some general parameters about your situation, right?
Right, exactly.
And then even like we were talking about earlier, that John Harper had raised the point that you can kind of like work this step by step, and even you said you can cancel it 3 days in if you said it wasn't the thing to do.
Right.
So how do people get in touch with you?
Very easily. They just pick up their telephone and they call me at 321-259-7880. That's 321-259-7880. And they can call me anytime.
Yeah, and I know we're just about out of time on the show, but I want to encourage you, if you have not been to the Helping Seniors YouTube page, or even you can actually find these on the Helping Seniors Facebook page and on the website, but Google up the Barb McIntyre and reverse mortgages, and you'll see a plethora, because you've done a number of programs with Joe, TV shows, which is really good information on this topic. Or better yet, give Barb a call, and that number again is
321-259-7880.
That sounds good to me. So, John, what do to me, I can't see why somebody wouldn't at least make the call and find out more.
I totally agree, and I think, Barbara, as you've outlined for Kerry and myself and the audience, the reverse mortgage really can help give someone, a couple, the financial freedom that they need in their elder years, and really can make life quite pleasant as they continue to live in their retirement years.
That's right. And the statistics on the satisfaction of people in reverse mortgages when they do big polls, It's very rare that there's ever a person who's done one that wasn't absolutely thrilled.
So you can really make that house work for you.
Absolutely. You should. You paid for it and you raised your kids in it. Oftentimes, it's time to let the house take care of you.
One more quick question before we wrap up. What about if you've got acreage? Can that apply as well?
Yes. You can have some acreage to your property, and sometimes I encourage borrowers to see how is it make sense to encumber all of the acreage versus a part of where the house is sitting. It's again a strategic plan. So I just talk to borrowers. Yes, you can is the answer. But is it the right thing?
So if you have vacant land that is ready to be built on, you can also wrap this into a reverse mortgage.
Well, you can, but then you're encumbering the land. So again, that's where strategic conversation about what do you see doing with that land in the future. And I've had a couple borrowers break that out, resurvey it, not encumber it, just encumber their house and the land it sits on.
Right.
So.
Well, good. Well,
lots to know.
Thank you for sharing today on that, and thank you, John, for helping us move through that. And we look forward to being back on the radio next week and seeing everybody on the cruise February 21st.
Thank you, Kerry. We'll talk to you next week.
Good to see everybody.
Thanks, Barbara.